Hello, everybody. What a music we have here. Hi, I am Guy Miaznik, and I welcome everybody to our cyber security portfolio companies panel. It's one of the last sessions of the day, so I'm all excited about it, and I think I'm sure you are all as well to see our amazing companies. I'm hosting this panel. And just quick words about myself. I am myself a serial entrepreneur in the security space. I am now an investor and incubator, and most important, a member of the Kibbutz, which is an LP in J Ventures. So I actually, for sake of disclosure, have a small stake, like many of you, in each of the companies on the panel. And one special secret here is both Adi, Gadi, and Jorge are also members of Kibbutz. So all of us have each other. So we are a Kibbutz, two Kibbutz. And a few anecdotes. This is truly international. Jorge is from Uruguay, speaking to us, even though he's based in the Bay Area. I'm from Israel, and Adi and Gadi in the Bay Area. And we know each other. Jorge and Adi, our kids go to the same school with me, and Adi and I sold the company to the same acquirer. So it's all in the family. So with that said, let me introduce our amazing panelists. I'll start with Jorge Mishne. I'm learning how to pronounce the name. This is not an easy name. So Jorge is an expert in semiconductors. He's been working for years at Qualcomm, Intel, co-founded a hardware startup before, and a key anecdote is actually a pilot, which is very cool. Adi Rupin, co-founder of Ananda Networks, serial entrepreneur. I think Adi, my latest count, you have about 5 startups that you either co-founded or joined. Most or all in the security space, has a PhD from Tel Aviv University in computer science, so a smart guy with credentials, and a musician, plays cello, which is also very cool. I love these cool things. And Gadi is President, Chief Customer Officer, I love the title, CCO of Neuralgic, sorry. A great business background, very nice, and bunch of startups advising and involved in. MBA from NYU, but the most cool stuff here, he visited 111 countries in his lifetime and 49 states, not 49, not 50. At the end, if you stay to the last minute, he will tell you which is the 50th state. If you don't stay, you'll miss that. So with that said, I'll turn the panel now to our 3 analysts to give you a 60-second pitch about their companies. So, Gadi, go for it.
Great. Thanks, Guy, and thanks everybody for joining. As Guy mentioned, I'm the President and Chief Customer Officer of Neuralgic. Neuralgic is focused on providing dynamic application security testing solutions that are focused on developers. If you look at the way that application security or development overall has developed and emerged in the last few years, we're seeing a significant trend of shift left or shift everywhere. Both Jake and Slavik mentioned that in the previous panel as well. And tools that are security tools that are mainly focused at the security team are becoming obsolete and becoming very problematic. What we offer is a solution that can be used by the security team, by developers, by QA, by DevOps in order to fit into the development environment in a much better way, save organizations costs and make them more secure. We joined the portfolio as part of our angel round. J Ventures reinvested as part of our seed round. And last week we passed our $1 million in ARR. So we're very, very excited about the fast growth of the company.
That's cool. I love the 1 million ARR. Continue to grow. I like to see the multiples grow. That's amazing. Thank you, Gadi. Jorge, your 60-second speech.
You're up. Okay, so thanks for having me, and great to be here. Chameleon is a semiconductor company, And basically, we are building a secure infrastructure. So if you look at what's going on in the computing world, CPUs have never been designed for security. It was an afterthought. So while we have a lot of software solutions to deal with all the security issues, we need an infrastructure that can rely on. So we are building what we call the Pro SPU, the Proactive Security Processing Unit. It's a companion device at first that will protect the system at boot and at runtime, and basically build a whole ecosystem of applications that will run on a secure processing unit.
Exciting, and that's taking it from the basic level, from the hardware. Adi, your turn, please.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me. As Jorge suggested, the way CPU were not designed for security, our premise was also that the internet was never designed for security or speed. In fact, nobody was thinking about security. Nobody was thinking about performance when it was invented in the 60s. And basically, what we are trying to do, especially in these days where everybody's distributed, is to create a new network that connects everybody with the ease and economics of a local area network, and converges security and networking capability into it. So it's not an afterthought; it's something that's provided by the network itself. That's it in a nutshell.
Perfect, thank you. So Adi, you've been the last one, so first on this one. You're a serial entrepreneur. You've founded SoftwareWare, you sold it to Checkpoint. You've been in the founding team for Watchdogs, to BlackBerry, and a bunch of others. What did you learn from all of that experience and startup experience, and how did you apply this to Anand Network?
Well, hopefully I'm not going to make the same mistake twice, but there's plenty of new mistakes I can make, so that's what I'm working on. But I think the common denominator for many of these companies, but we're always trying to do something a little out of the box and not like just another solution. Whether it's SoftwareWare was the first UTM device that was kind of different than the old firewalls, and the second company was kind of the precursor to Dropbox, so that's something nobody else has done. And here as well, we're trying to instead of being one more company that solves a small problem, we're trying to kind of reinvent the network itself and kind of turn the problem on its head. So that's what I like to do, to try to kind of find solution out of the box and try to make something very elegant instead of patchwork. That's kind of how security and networking look like today.
Yeah. So the companies, what did you learn about growth? Meaning, how do you take an idea that is unique and different, as you said, turn it into reality, but then push it and grow the business aggressively with it?
This for me?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, for me. I think there are a few things that we're doing here. Actually, this time we have a pretty disruptive business model, which actually includes kind of a freemium model. I see that being more and more important, even in spaces like legacy spaces like cybersecurity, where you think it's all like salespeople, whining and dining you. So we're trying to make a much more disruptive freemium, drop-like, so Slack-like model here, even though we're talking about security and networking. That's something I think is different in how we approach this time. The other thing that I've done in the past, and it seemed like there's a lot of interest in this company, although it's early days, is partnerships. We are going to announce a pretty major one, hopefully in the next few weeks, and there are a few other ones in the pipeline. So I think we can definitely leverage ecosystem here and to make something very, very meaningful.
Good, thank you. There's this idea of growth and looking at partnerships is exciting, and it's all about how to push and bring this forward. Gadi, we spoke before this before, as a prep for this panel, you told me the story of how you joined New Religion, right? I mean, you've been with friends from day one, and you've actually gave them some milestones before you said I'm in. Tell me
Mhm.
about it. And so how did you come together, and what were the milestones that caused you to invest your very valuable time and talent into this company?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So I've been with New Religion for a bit more than formally full time for a bit more than a year now. The company's been around for a bit more than 2 years, but I've been following the companies from the beginning because Sham, our CEO, has been my best friend for more than 40 years. We showed Oded and Nilesh pictures from kindergarten together, literally, and. When I was the chief revenue officer for another company, doing pretty well before I joined them. But from the beginning, we need the presence in the U.S. We need to be close to the market. We're in Israel, and you've grown multiple companies. How do we bring you on board? And in order to do that, we set specific milestones, and we said, if you are able to achieve the following milestones, then there is enough proof that this is a real company, and I'm willing to jump ship and join full time. And those milestones were around a few key areas. One was, and most importantly, was around customers. Can we actually land customers? Can we implement with those customers? And can we prove that they are actually buying the novel message that we're selling, that security can actually be done by development, and people are willing to adopt that message because it is a big change to what was in the market before. Two, let's see if we can actually translate our messaging to something that works for investors, and the investors are willing to accept that message as something that can be not just a point solution, but can turn into that billion-dollar company. And we got engaged with some of the seed investors, some of the angel investors, including J Ventures. And when there was interest, we said, okay, this is very relevant and very applicable, and we can actually go ahead and create that company. There were a few other milestones around maturity of the product, etc., but those were the critical ones. And then I said, all right, I have to leave my day job and actually join and do this full time. And I have to say, they achieved all these goals 2 months before the timeline that I set for them, which was pretty cool.
That's actually amazing. I mean, that's the insights about customers, investors, product, and timing, ability to execute, because timing, ability to do that 2 months ahead, it means a great execution. For me, that's actually a very powerful vetting process. If an experienced executive follows certain milestones, sees that they're achieved, and then joins the startup, that's kudos for the startup and for the executive. And it sounds like with the 1 million ARR, this is continuing to grow very nicely. So thank you for the hard work. Jorge, I mean, you sold companies, you've been in very large companies as well, Intel, Qualcomm. Tell me how, after spending so many years in some of these larger companies, you shifted to startup life, and how did it lead you now to Chameleon?
So, I started at Intel, and then at some point there was a group of people inside Intel that started to think about doing what became Wirelocity at the end. And I was young at that time, was I think 28, and said it was about the time. Said, okay, this is the time to do it. So let's do it. I always wanted to try it, and it was a very difficult but very fun experience. And then fast forward 7 years later, we were acquired by Qualcomm. I went back to the big companies, and after a couple of years, I said I want to do what I like, right? Even if it's difficult, even if it's a roller coaster, but you are free to do what you think is best for good and for bad. And then, of course, you also see the results. So that's where I decided to leave Qualcomm, started to look, and even with some of the people that I used to work at Velocity, is that we started Chameleon, starting to look for the product, for the problem, validating the problem, and starting to talk. Being in the Bay Area actually helps a lot, because you can easily get to pretty much any company that you want. So I started a couple of months of drinking a lot of coffee, either at university or at Redberry, right? And just checking the ideas, seeing what the feedback is. And once I understood that there is something here, that's where we really started to work, and well, went through the funding process, and of course started to work. Most of the company today is in Israel, so I work remotely now in the US, and planning to expand also the team in the US.
Now, thank you. The vast majority of cybersecurity companies are actually software businesses, software SaaS, etc. You're coming at it from the hardware side, FPGA specifically. How does that affect your ability to get people, investors, get folks excited, especially in Silicon Valley, which, you know, Silicon was what once time associated with semiconductors. Today it's all about software. So how did that work out for you?
So I think that, you know, every couple of years, people forget that software runs on a piece of hardware. Cars run on a highway, right? So you need the infrastructure, right? So you start to look at what's going on, and people say, everything is software. And yes, it has a lot of flexibility, but you need to have the right infrastructure. So looking over the years, right, you start to see how new devices were created for specific usages. The most recent one is AI processors, right? So once you get to an application that requires specific things, you can do it on a regular computer, on a regular CPU. Still, there are specific needs for that. Same for security. So what we see is that in the last 10 years, nothing has been done on the security infrastructure, on the hardware security infrastructure in the world. Now, if you look at the last 10 years, what happened with cloud, and specifically today, what is called the Internet of Everything, right? There is no more personal computing. There is no one device at your home. Everything is connected. So you need to upgrade that infrastructure in order to be able to provide that security. What people are starting to understand is that you can have the best car in the world that drives 150 miles an hour. Now, if you have a shitty highway, it will drive at 50 miles an hour like everybody, right? So people are starting to understand that you need to have the right infrastructure. You need to have a modern and secure infrastructure that provides all the services from boot and into runtime, so the software can run correctly. And this is exactly what we are building. And the idea is to build an open ecosystem where third-party software can run on top of us, use the goodies that we provide, and really build a new architecture across all the segments.
Thank you, Jorge. That's great. I want to shift gears a bit to a bit of the broader picture. Your three founders, executives in top forward-looking cybersecurity startups. What's your perspective about the impact of the changes that we're experiencing these days due to Corona? We have issues of people moving and working from home. So the enterprise is now extending its perimeter from just the enterprise to people's houses. You have shift of location and other things that are going on. Would love to hear what's your perspective on these trends. What is the impact that you're seeing on these, on your companies and the future of your companies? Gadi, maybe you want to start.
Okay, great.
I think maybe I can address a couple of those points and then open it up to the others. I think the two things that we saw the most impact from are one, really that shift to we are accepting cloud technology. So if you look at early 2020, we had a bunch of discussions with some of the large banks, the financial institutions, and got the message of, you're a SaaS solution, we won't be ready for you until 2026. Don't talk to us in 6 years. Fast forward 3 months, COVID happened, everybody had to get ready very, very quickly and facilitate that. And a lot of these prospects came back, and now some of them will close this quarter, some of them will close next quarter, but they were forced to create the infrastructure that enabled them to deploy SaaS solutions and accept SaaS solutions because they didn't have a choice. The other trend is all about automation. A lot of things that relied on people in the past, whether those are remote people or people within your environment, and really were reliant on people collaborating and meeting together to get stuff done, has to be automated now. And being able to deploy solutions that help you automate these processes is critical, and both of those have been a very strong motivator for people adopting our solutions and really accepting our message even more than they were before.
Thank you. Thank you. Adi, do you want to add
Yeah.
something here?
Yeah, I think for us, it's also a major driver to our business. You know, this trend towards a more distributed enterprise, a more distributed workforce has been ongoing for a while with, you know, its cloud and containers and IoT devices, but, you know, COVID has made it even more pronounced. And, you know, we're looking at some of the use cases we can solve now. And it's around, you know, people working from home, remote offices, all these kind of distributed elements. And if you look at the old solutions and the old ways of doing things, either the firewalls and the hardware that's in the data center, that's no longer relevant. So it has to be something that's managed from the cloud. It has something that can facilitate access to the cloud. So really, we're building a distributed problem to a distributed solution to a distributed problem, which is something that's at the core of what we do. So definitely, I think COVID is something we can help with, and this, as far as this trend to a very distributed workforce.
Thank you, Adi. Jorge, anything on your side?
I think there is an old say that your system is as strong as your weakest link. And I think that COVID accelerated that. While everybody knew that, you still have, okay, inside my perimeter, my office, so there is inside the office and outside the office. And now it's everything. So I like to go back to the internet of everything, right? Whoever thinks that now it's a PC or a server or whatever, it's not anymore. It's the phone, it's my Bluetooth device, it's my, I don't know, my light. Everything is connected, and you need to make sure that everything is secure. Now, not everything can be done in software, right? And you need, again, the right infrastructure. Right. So, and again, I don't want to sound like against software, definitely not, right? But you need to provide things in hardware in order to have the right foundation so the software can run correctly.
Thank you. I mean, this is great insights around the cloud adoption, automation, distributed workforce, and the impact on security and infrastructure, and then the impact on the core infrastructure to support all of that is crucial all the way to the hardware. So thank you, guys. We have probably some time for a final question. So my final question to all three of you, since we are in the $1 billion company track, is what needs to go right for each one of your companies to make you a $1 billion company? But before you answer that, I'm now addressing our audience. Audience, most of you are LPs, so you are actually invested in these three guys, and your job here is not just to be entertained, but actually to help. So I'm asking you to listen carefully. Hopefully you did up to now. and think what kind of referrals, customers, or partners you can provide our three entrepreneurs here so they can help the business. And with that said, I'm passing it to you guys to speak what needs to go right to make you a $1 billion business. Adi, maybe you start, Gadi and Jorge.
Okay. I think the timing is right, like we just discussed. The move to an highly distributed enterprise and workforce pretty much makes almost everything that people have installed and bought obsolete. It's not relevant that you have a firewall in a box. Your VPN doesn't kind of cut it when you need to connect to the cloud. Your SD-WAN doesn't really work when you're working from home. So the opportunities is right now, and it's very, very big. And there's a bigger trend that I think we are also following, which is the convergence of these networking and security markets. Because if you look at the companies, a lot of security companies acquiring networking companies. In Palo Alto, for example, a lot of networking companies are acquiring security companies or adding that functionality. So there's a huge trend of convergence here, and that's something we've actually taken not as something that as a unorganic thing we want to add, but something that we designed from day one to make a converged network between the two. So I think as far as the trend, there's a great opportunity here. What's left is execution, and like I said, we have some very large deals that we're working on. Hopefully, we can announce them in the next few weeks or Q1. Some major partnerships. We think really, like Jorge said, if we can actually use us, if you think about us as a secure enclave on the network, and if you look at the other side, maybe the all the way from the endpoint and the hardware going down out to the internet, we can provide. We can really provide an end-to-end solution that's superior to anything from the aspects of speed and security and simplicity, and we can really build an ecosystem. So ecosystem here is the.
Adi, I have to pass now. Pass now to Gadi. We are in the last of minutes. Yeah. So Gadi, be brief, please. Time for Jorge.
Absolutely. Super focused. For it to be $1 billion company, we need to prove that developers are going to implement application security and that organizations will adopt application security from the ground up. Where you can all help with that is in three things. As Guy mentioned, one, if you know any company that develops software, talk to us. We can help them to be more secure at a lower cost. If you are a developer or know developers, we can give away our product for free for them. Introduce them to us. We will give the product to them. And the third one is the partnerships aspect, which is critical. Any distributor of cybersecurity or software infrastructure for developers, please make the introductions.
Thank you, Gadi. Jorge, $1 billion business.
$1 billion business. So I think that I was talking about the architecture that we are proposing and how we are moving on with this architecture. And the good thing about this is that while we are starting with the servers market, it extends across all the devices. So the challenge for us now to extend that across PC and mobile and IoT and automotive, etc. Right? So we are talking about billions and billions of devices. Now, the other challenge is to build that ecosystem of applications on top of that. And that will allow my friends on the software side, right, to be able to export those applications across different devices with very minor changes, right? So once you have the application, you can move it across devices. It's the same software model. So I think that by doing those two simple things, we can get there.
Thank you very much, guys. And I want to finalize with what I owed you from the beginning. Gadi, the 50th state is missing for us.
It's the joy of North Dakota.
Guys, thank you very much. Amazing entrepreneurs, amazing companies. Good luck. We all wish you the best, and we'll hope to help as much as we can. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Jim and I hope that you had a good day, and it was a very packed day with good speakers. We had LPs and portfolio taking the stage today, and they were all keynote speakers, just like they were in other conferences. Really amazing lineup. And we hope that you also had a chance to speak with others in our chat box and one-on-one in the coffee. We had nearly 400 participate today, VCs and founders, leaders, and executives from all over the world, from 19 communities, mostly from Silicon Valley, also from Israel, from New York and LA and Latin America. And the day is not over. Don't be afraid that you missed anything, because everything was recorded, so you can watch the other tracks that you think that you missed. You can still speak with other people that you wanted to speak with here on the platform. You can still engage with them. We had in the past days, just before the conference, we had 2 people who are likely to close the deal right now. So this is happening as we speak. It was an amazing year for J Ventures, for our community, our LPs. I wanted to thank you. You've been amazing supporters, and I want to thank our portfolio companies. I want to thank all the speakers, and also the last 3 speakers who moderated the cyber and the healthcare IT and the insurance panels of our portfolio, Guy, Erez, and John. So it was really amazing day, and thank you for being part of this journey of this year. I want to thank all the guests. This is the first time we opened J Ventures to outsider in a way. We were in stealth mode, under the radar for many years, and we are proud that you are part of our family. It's a very unique collective of people who are doing things together, investing and bringing added value to our portfolio companies. But it's about the people themselves. This is what's so unique about it. Womensch, we call them, women and mensch, outstanding people. And this is why I enjoy doing it. So have a great Hanukkah and have a great holidays. And we will keep in touch. We will do a lot of things together. So stay tuned.